Ekiti State, a land of many beautiful hills, a land of lush green vegetation, a land known for its love of knowledge and academic excellence, a land of honor, a land that many describe as Nigeria's best kept secret. Ekiti is the state capital. In the last 3 years, this once sleepy town has turned into a world-class city.
The first thing that strikes you is the total change in ambience when you drive into Ekiti. If you drive in at night, it's even more striking because the street lights this city used to sleep at 7 p.m. This city is still on most days, midnight. It's improved the economy of the city.
Much of the credit for the rapid transformation of Ekiti State goes to Governor John Kayode Fayemi, a visionary leader who many here say has lived up to his campaign promises. 3 years ago, he said, "As I am ushered into the governor's office in Ekiti, make no mistake about it, I will ensure that you, the good people of Ekiti State, own this government."
That mission statement underscored the need for all of us, Ekiti people, to come together and move away from the path of disrepute that had accompanied governance in the previous years. It was the years of the locust.
In order to restore government credibility and reclaim public trust, Governor Fayemi's administration set out to make poverty history, to provide the greatest good for the greatest number of people, and increase the general well-being of the people of Ekiti State. This simply meant that fulfilling campaign promises would require transparency, accountability, prudence, creativity, visionary leadership, and a new way of governance different from what had characterized the administrations of previous professional politicians.
My campaign was about restoring the honor of Ekiti, restoring the integrity of the land. And the way to do it was not to put myself forward as having all the answers to the problems, but aggregating those answers and being the captain in a ship of very competent people all around the state. And that was the way we fought the struggle.
With the goal of reversing an almost decades-old trend of neglect and deterioration in key sectors, Governor Fayemi's 8-point agenda promised to democratize governance, modernize agriculture, improve infrastructure, promote qualitative education geared towards the development of human capital, provide free healthcare and social security to disadvantaged sectors of the state, ensure industrial development, develop tourism, and promote gender equality.
Clearly, governance has become more democratic, it has become more participatory, which was our objective, to ensure that the people are actually the architects of their own fortune. So no longer do we prepare budgets in this state without the input from the communities. Probably the only state where that happens. But we do not just stop at that. We also let the communities, through their own towns' unions, embark on self-help projects that are funded by government, but only by providing the money.
Transforming Ekiti State has not been without challenges. Governor Fayemi inherited severely deteriorated public infrastructure, a massive debt of 42 billion naira, and an ineffective revenue and tax generation system.
Before I became governor, the previous 7 years, we had 6 governors in 7 years. So that could give you the sense of instability that the state had experienced.
In short, transformation that would genuinely impact the people of Ekiti would require radical change across multiple sectors. To get a sense of what is going on infrastructure-wise in Ekiti State, there is no better spokesperson and champion than Governor John Kayode Fayemi, who many residents simply refer to as JKF.
We're no longer the Ekiti of old that wants to hide ourselves. Even in our excellence, we refuse to project ourselves. We refuse to sell ourselves to the world. For too long, we've hidden ourselves under the bushel. If you are in a valley, nobody sees you in the valley. If you're on the hill, everybody sees what you're doing. But with that comes a heavy dose of transparency. You can't go up on the hill without showing yourself up to the world. You must be ready to open yourself up for scrutiny.
Transformers to boost electric power supply have been installed in many communities. Some towns, such as Okeako, that have never had electricity are now connected to the national grid. For too long, Ekiti State was rarely ever mentioned in the league of highly developed Nigerian states.
If any good thing comes out of Ekiti, the shock that is often expressed is one that befuddles the mind, as though we are meant to be permanently in the dungeon as far as excellence is concerned.
Under Governor Fayemi, Ekiti State is focused on the present and also the future.
Advancements in education, in healthcare, in infrastructure, in ICT. This is the destination of choice in tourism. But you cannot have any of those things if the infrastructure is not in top shape. It's when you have the right infrastructure that you can demand of people that they invest in you.
In the capital city Ado-Ekiti, everywhere you look, there is construction going on. If you've not been to Ado-Ekiti in the last 3 years, you may just think you've arrived somewhere else. A 12,000-seater multi-purpose pavilion, a museum, a state-of-the-art convention center, and an ultra-modern cineplex are all under construction.
When we were running for office, the one point we made very clearly to our people was that another Ekiti, a better Ekiti, a modern Ekiti is possible, and we will witness it. Our idea is that we need a place where students, we have a lot of students in Ekiti, and they're always so idle because there's no recreational space. We have a stadium that has been there for as long as I can remember, for as long as I was in high school. It seats maximum 4,000 people. Our public events, parades, Children's Day rally, National Youth Service Corps orientation, everything gets done inside my school, my old school, tiny pitch. It's an embarrassment. We're 17 years old.
The multipurpose pavilion will be used for major public functions, parades, religious events, and music concerts.
It's 12,000-seater pavilion and much more beautiful than Tafawa Balewa School. We are in the big league. We belong to the big league.
The Idoile Water Project, commissioned in 2012, is one of 5 mini water treatment plants that have been built in the last 3 years. It currently provides nearby residents with almost 2 million liters of clean drinking water each week, according to production manager Rotimi Bello.
If people are taking pure treated water, eventually their lifestyle will change, because healing, going to the hospital and all those things will be reduced if people are taking treated pure water.
Sir Thomas Omoyadigbe has lived in Idoile for more than 70 years. He says prior to now, residents only had one other source of water.
Omi abẹ́ omi tó wà nínú igbó láti yá pọn mi. Kò sí omi tí ò dáa mọ́. A rí omi dáadáa mọ́. Ẹnu wa dùn.
Since 2011, more than 540 kilometers of roads have been constructed around the state. An additional 80 kilometers of roads have also been constructed in local governments under the 5-kilometer road per local government scheme.
We
are situated on Atikonko Road. It used to be a single lane shanty town inhabited by the Hausa communities. But what we have done as at today, we have dualized the road. If you were here 3 years ago, you would be amazed. This used to be it used to be a red light district. You know, we had hemp smokers, we had prostitutes. We have tried to make it as clean and as urban as possible for the state.
Expanding and dualizing roads has not been without challenges.
There was resistance, and the inhabitants of the area, mostly the Hausa community in Ekiti state, in Ado Ekiti, Atikonko area actually, did not believe that the state government would compensate them. So what we did was we did not move them immediately. We made sure that their checks were given to them. We made sure that their relocation was ready and suitable. Then we moved in and bulldozed all the shanties around.
Chief Olusegun Famuagun, the Shashere of Ado Ekiti, is one of the community leaders and residents of the Atikonko area affected by the government's urban development plan.
But 4 years ago, when I was installed as the Shashere here, I had to write several letters to both the local government and the state government. The road was very narrow and so congested that you could spend maybe 2-3 hours trying to get by through this bypass to the post office and to the palace. They made promises and pledges, even during their campaign days, that they were going to reconstruct the roads. But I never knew it was going to be into this magnitude. For the good of the community, half of my palace was demolished. And it is acceptable by me because it is good, it is in the good interest of the community. Now we are better off. We have a smaller place, but we are now exposed to a cleaner environment, better road network.
We've made the capital city look very, very urban. Ado Ekiti used to be like a glorified village, but what we've done, we have dualized the entry points into the state capital, Ado, to make it more presentable to any would-be investor that would want to come and do business with the government.
A massive ongoing legacy construction project is the new governor's mansion, complete with a helipad that will replace the guest house Governor Fayemi currently resides in.
There are those who would argue, why is Governor Fayemi spending money on building a government house on the hill? When you are passionate about legacies, symbols are important. Symbols are as important as substance. If you know our culture very well, the first thing a Yoruba man will tell you is, Irini sini sonilojo. If you put us in the dungeon, we will be treated as dungeon people. If you put us on a pedestal, people will respect us for who we are. And we're pedestal people. We're intelligent people in Ekiti. Everybody acknowledges that. This is the fountain of knowledge. So why then do we hide ourselves? I'm a very private person, but about this, I'm very public. Because Ekiti has to be first among equals. We must project ourselves, but on the basis of tangible evidence of quality. That, for me, is what is important.
From pavilions to convention centers, malls and cineplexes, road networks and mini water plants, Ekiti State is forging ahead into the future at rapid speed.
We're fixing our gaze on the future. That's why we're doing stuff that might not even matter to the ordinary eye in Ekiti. Laying the fiber optic infrastructure, developing an economic knowledge zone, because for us, that's where we're heading. That's the mission for the future in our state.
For generations, the people of Ekiti State have had a passionate love for knowledge and education. While raw data may be difficult to come by, it is often said that there are more PhDs and professors per capita here in Ekiti State than anywhere else in Nigeria. In this southwestern part of Nigeria, knowledge is king. The development of human capital and the love of knowledge is passed on to children at a very young age. Secondary institutions such as Christ School and Mary Immaculate in Ado-Ekiti were once the gold standards of education in this beautiful, scenic part of Nigeria. These and other schools in Ekiti have produced many of Nigeria's best and brightest. But over the last 20 years, as in many other parts of Nigeria, the quality of education here has taken a nosedive. Failing grades have skyrocketed.
We've had one of our toughest challenges in education. Remember, this is the fountain of knowledge in Nigeria. One professor per household. That's the tradition that we came from. But I'm afraid to say, when I became governor here, we had lost that edge. Things had gone pear-shaped. We were ranking very, very low in public examination, particularly in secondary schools.
No longer could Ekiti State lay claim to being the fount of knowledge. No longer could its elite schools depend on a once glorious history.
My own school, one of the top schools in Nigeria, when I came into office, my school had 20% pass rate in WAEC examination. That was the first exam that was done when I became governor, 2011. In 2012, my school had 9% pass rate. 9 as in 9, before 10. 20% in 2011, my first year in office. 9% in 2012. And 2013, 100% in Christ School. Of course, when I became governor, that first year, we had to really go into a brainstorming session. Yes, we had our agenda. We were going to offer free education, compulsory qualitative education. We were going to focus on vocational and functional technical education. We were going to do something about the tertiary education sector to improve it. But in Ekiti, that's not such a big deal. I mean, we've been enjoying free education here since 1955, in the days of Obafemi Awolowo. So coming in as a governor and saying you're going to do free education, to my people, is really water off their back. They don't see what is extraordinary in that.
The first task of Governor Fayemi and his administration was to identify the systemic problems responsible for the state's educational decline.
Low teacher quality, lack of the necessary incentives, the learning environment was crappy. Whether you did well or not, you had automatic promotion. So we stopped that. We introduced a compulsory examination in SS2, a statewide compulsory examination. And if you fail the compulsory examination, you're not going to be presented for the main SSC examination. The first set that took that examination were the ones who took the WASC exams in 2013. And that's why statewide, we had a result of about 70%. And statewide, we had schools like Christ School, like Government College Aide, like Government College Emory, scoring 100%, meaning every single pupil presented for WASC in those schools made 5 credits plus English and mathematics.
The Subeb Model School in Ado-Ekiti has been rated one of the top elementary schools in the country. It is fast becoming a model for what is possible in other parts of Ekiti.
Teachers are well paid compared with other states, and the school too is good for any pupil because we undertake holistic education here. You get to the library now, you feel that it is a state library, not even for primary school level.
We have the alphabet of English there. And I've told you that
Today, 48,000 laptops have been provided to every SS2 student in Ekiti State. Each computer is fully loaded with electronic curriculum for every subject.
In the global environment, competitiveness is going to be dependent on technology. So we entered into a partnership with Samsung Engineering, and we offered solar laptops to every secondary school child in senior secondary school, and extending it further to the junior secondary school.
The transformation of Ekiti State's educational system in just under 4 years is not limited to access to technology, e-based courses, enhanced teacher training, or improved staff welfare packages. For decades, many of the schools in Ekiti State had fallen into disrepair. Broken windows, collapsed ceilings, unpainted buildings, rot and decay. Today, almost 200 secondary schools and 100 primary schools have been refurbished in a serious attempt to create conducive learning environments for the younger generation.
When I was still in SS2, we had a building that is, if rain is falling, the ceiling will start dripping water. It was like hell. Immediately, students start shifting their chairs from the position of the dripping center to a particular, thereby causing problems to other students and distracting the teacher's attention in the class. That made it very miserable for us. But after the renovation of these classrooms, anytime we have rain falling, we don't even feel the discomfort there. We feel at home, going through our lessons, listening attentively. Even though the darkness, even if the weather change, we don't care because we are in a very comfortable place.
We have this building renovated by this government. The hall that has been abandoned for several years with mighty trees and snakes there. If you go and see the hall now, very beautiful. Then we have another building, a block of 4 classrooms that is being renovated too. In fact, it was completed last week. Very beautiful. The school has taken a new turn.
Today, there is an air of hope and optimism in the air. Ekiti State's education transformation is also not limited to elementary and secondary schools. The state's university system has also undergone massive changes.
We had 3 glorified secondary schools that were called universities. We've merged 3 universities into one, which has now become a model. It's been recommended to other states that instead of proliferating, why don't you focus on one and increase the level of support that you put in this one so that the products are really what they're sold. Not these days that you have graduates who cannot even write a page of intelligible English.
Professor Timothy Aino is the Vice-Chancellor of Ekiti State University.
This university never had electricity for years before I came as Vice-Chancellor. We are now connected. We now have water. The laboratories are being equipped. If you go around the campus today, we have 5 buildings being constructed. For the first time, we have the Faculty of Agricultural Sciences building, a very mighty building going on. We have the School of Postgraduate Studies building. We have the Entrepreneurial Studies building. We have what is regarded as the most modern College of Medicine Library building here in Eksu. This university is 31 years old now, and it has to transit to a world-class university. So this is my vision.
Ademola Adeleye is a Year 3 law student. He's excited about the positive changes taking place and the opportunities Ekiti State University provides.
Ekiti State University has witnessed tremendous changes in a lot of things. While I was doing my first degree here as a philosophy student, you see students sitting down in a class that there's no ventilation. You now see that some new buildings are coming up, and that is with the initiative of the Vice Chancellor and the state government of the day. We have new buildings. You have students now receiving lectures with projectors. We have e-libraries. So all these things aids learning, and we're very grateful.
Governor Fayemi is a passionate advocate of e-learning and a champion of a knowledge-based economy. What is all the more remarkable about Ekiti State's educational transformation under Governor Fayemi is that so much has been accomplished with yet so little, in comparison to other states who receive a much more generous budgetary allocation from the federal government. Many here believe that if the changes of the last 3 years are sustained, Ekiti State's once preeminent position as Nigeria's fount of knowledge will easily be regained.
Sound clap. 2 clap.
It's a song that's familiar to millions of Nigerian children. The adage, knowledge and education without the implements of farming counts for nothing, is ingrained in the minds of children at home and in school. However, in recent decades, it's a wise saying that has been pretty much ignored. Today, many international experts are predicting that food will become more viable than oil in the decades to come. Blessed with vast tracts of unexploited arable land and abundant water resources, Ekiti State is poised to become a major producer of food in Nigeria. After decades of neglect, there is little doubt that agriculture and agribusiness are now major sources of economic growth in Ekiti State.
There is an influx of commercial agriculture entrepreneurs in the state, which was not the case before now. We used to run a pretty sleepy subsistence farming. We weren't even into agriculture, if you take agriculture as business.
Already, the government is strategically and creatively fixing a list of perennial problems that will untap the state's huge agricultural potential. These include insufficient access to land, poor provision of basic inputs, high post-harvest losses, insufficient water supplies, and a lack of private sector investment.